black or white, male or female, rich or poor, gay or straight. What's the difference? Number 14 and number 41 are on a mission to improve the unity of the world, one person at a time. Welcome to the 14 and 41 Unity Show.
Hello, I'm Alexis Hornbuckle, number 14.
And I'm Matt Gersper, number 41.
And I'm Khadevis Robinson, number 1. One's my favorite number. I'm an author, speaker, an Olympian, a coach. But, now that I'm retired and no longer a world-class athlete, I'm using all my energy to be a world-class human being. We're all different, but made from the same stuff.
Right on. And we're happy to be broadcasting from WYTV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina. And we're super excited for you to meet another retired athlete on our mission to improve the unity of the world. Welcome, Khadevis. Alexis and I are super excited to have you on the 14 and 41 Unity Show.
I'm pleased to be here. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So just take a few minutes and tell our audience about what you're doing these days to make the world a better place.
I'm living my purpose. I think we all have a reason to be here on earth. And for me, I'm coaching. And when I was a kid, growing all the way up, coaches was an extension of the family, And so what I realized is that when I was a young kid, a lot of my confidence came from what the coaches told me about myself, what I could accomplish. And so as I finished being a professional athlete, what better, profession to get into is in coaching. And so coaching for me is not just the X and O's as far as a sport. Is you're a teacher. You're a mentor, you're a teacher, you're a counselor, you all those things put into one. So right now I'm coaching, but also I write, I speak, and I travel and try to do the best I can to bring positivity to the world. Excellent.
And you're coaching at the place, The Ohio State University, where I was born, on the campus. I love that. So let's go back to your high school days. And it seems like you and I have a lot more in common than just Ohio State, because I understand you only ran track because of the girls and to prepare yourself for football.
That's correct.
But at some point that changed. So tell us about your decision to focus on running.
Well, I ran, and what happened is my senior year in high school, my stepfather died. And so after my stepfather died, I had some choices to make as far as where I was going to go in college and all those types of things. And my mom had me when she was around 17, 18 years old. And so she moved after she had me. And so she was very young. And so she had been with my stepdad ever since she was like 18, 19 years old. And so here it is 17 years later. And, he passed away. And so I'm the only child. So, and we were poor. So for me to up and leave and go far away, I didn't think that was the best decision because, I was always told that when the man of the house is not around, then you are the man of the house. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to stay close to home. And so that was the reason I made a decision to stay close to Fort Worth and go to TCU.
Very good. And so let's look forward a little bit. How do you expect to be impacting the world in 2030, 10 years from now?
Well, see, in 2030, because the world is, obviously we can see that now, the world is ever changing. And I think now individuals, more people are really getting more focused on their, spiritual and mental and also their physical, health. And what I try to show individuals that is in athletics, it's not just the physical aspect. It's not just the muscles. It's not just building your physical muscles. It's your mental muscle also. And it's also your spiritual muscle. So for me, it's like, that's what I'm dragging out into the world. I realize that everyone don't get the memo. So it's my job to make sure as many people as possible get it.
Love that. Hey, 14, why don't you come on in here?
Absolutely. I love listening to it. And well, one thing I do have a question. You're at Ohio State currently, and the strength and conditioning coach, Heather Mason?
Yes, I do.
So, by the way, she's the best in the world, but she was actually my strength and conditioning coach at the University of Tennessee during my tenure there. So that's pretty awesome. Tell her I said what's up. Yeah, but what was your initial response when you first heard about rafru and WYTV7 and our broadcast for the 14 and 41 Unity Show?
I thought it was interesting because you hear about a lot of different, I guess you would say, podcasts and shows that have a theme that's similar, but to have athletes and the way it's structured, I thought that was pretty unique. And to be quite honest with you, I think that's what's needed, because right now in the world, we're all fighting for attention. In other words, there's so many podcasts, there's so many shows, there's so much social media, but to get some of substance that can be a little different, I think that's what's needed right now, because that's what people, that's what they're looking for. So that's what I found interesting about it.
It's awesome. Well, we appreciate you joining. I don't know if you got a chance to check out the site and our gear and the logo, but what are your thoughts about that? The gear, the logo, the whole theme of rafru?
Yeah, the hand and all that going together. I'm kind of different like that. I like those types of things, and obviously it's right behind you, and you got the colors kind of placed in there. So I thought that's unique. Again, just like my name. My name's Khadevis, so I have a unique name, and the way I think is kind of unique. So I like that you have athletes and retired athletes, which I'm not certain that everyone understands how challenging it is for a lot of athletes once they retire. Yeah. So to have a platform for them is extremely important, because a lot of us spent all the way up until let's say 25, 30, or even older, just with a main one focus. And right. Once that's taken away from us, a lot of us are lost, to be quite honest with you. So to have a platform and somewhere that they can go, I think is awesome.
That's awesome. And one last question for now. What were your hopes for sharing your unity story and joining our mission of improving the unity of the world one person at a time?
I think it's important that people share their stories, because I think sometimes we feel like what we've gone through, we're the only one that went through it. Sometimes we think when we're going through a hard patch, no one else went through that patch. And when we hear someone else has gone through the same thing or had some struggles, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was raised in the slums, and I had it hard, but there's times when I hear somebody else's story and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm not complaining now, like compared to them, I had it pretty easy. So for me, it's important for individuals to show those stories. And to be quite honest with you, just yesterday, I was having this same conversation with my son. My oldest is 13. Mm-hmm. And I was giving him an example of an NBA player that's in the NBA college, who went through a lot. And my son was like, whew. And I could see it in his mind how he was thinking about, you know what, if that guy can go through all that and make it, what am I complaining about,
Right. Yeah, when you keep teaching them like that, I love it, because you're spot on, and it's a lot of what our youth needs. And obviously it's great if it can start in the home, what you're doing with your kids, but that needs to filter out, like you say, being a coach, you get an opportunity to let that filter out and drip on other people. So I love that. Matt?
Yeah, so Khadevis, you gave us an inspiring unity story about your transition from high school to college. So will you set the scene by explaining what you meant when you wrote, quote, "To say it was a culture shock would be an understatement"?
Yeah, so my high school was essentially 51% Black and 48% Hispanic. We didn't have many white individuals at my school. And I went from that atmosphere environment to TCU. And to be honest, we used to joke about TCU. Back in the day, we used to call it TCU stood for the Caucasian University, or Texas Caucasian University, as a joke. So it wasn't, back then it wasn't as diverse, but I loved it. I met my wife there. It was the absolute best place for me to be. So it was a culture shock, because even though I was about, let's say 15 minutes away from where I was raised, it was like I was in a different state, not even different state, a different region. But you know what they say, major things happen in minor moments. So at the time going there, I thought I was staying close to home, and I didn't think a lot of stuff would change, but it did. It was literally like I was in a different world, but I was in the same freaking city.
Yeah, that's crazy. You also wrote, and I quote, "Things got so bad that we almost started throwing blows at practices." So without giving away your story, describe one of those practices.
Yeah, I have a close friend, and I talked to him yesterday. He lives in London, and where I'm from, if I'm sitting down and someone walks by and they steps on your shoe, you kind of get into it, because your rationale is, man, you could have walked anywhere and you're gonna walk right beside me and step on my shoe. Or if you're in practice and you're running and it's like they bump into you and you're like, dude, it's like 8 lanes and you're going to bump into me. So we had that happen. I couldn't understand why this individual kept getting so close to me. And so sometimes in practice, we would bump into each other and we would literally be about to get into fights. Now, here's what I learned. Where I'm from, if you're arguing with each other, you only argue for a certain amount of time, then you fight. You just don't just keep arguing, going back to back. But evidently for him, it was all right to be arguing. So after about 3 to 4 minutes of arguing, I thought, okay, well, ain't much else to talk about. Let's fight. And he's like, dude, it's not that serious. I don't want to fight. You know, we can argue, but we don't have to fight. So coach had to kind of break us up a couple of times to keep it from getting to that level, you know?
That's funny. Okay, one more question about your Unity story. And I know you thought a lot about it before you actually put pen to paper. So what's been your experience since you started thinking about it and then you actually started writing it? And now you're reflecting back on your journey as an athlete and a coach. What's been your experience, your feelings about sharing this with the world?
I believe the universe or God or whatever you believe in, you know, put us out here for a purpose, right? And so for me, I think the purpose in my why is I'm here to inspire, motivate, and help others because I'm just a guy. So if you was to ask individuals who knew me when I was in middle school, there's nothing inherently special about me. So for me to put the story down is for me to show others that whatever goals they have in life, they can accomplish it, but also for them to know that it's not going to be easy. You're going to have these obstacles that you're going to have to encounter. Now, we all say that. Every speaker or whatever say that, but sometimes you need the details. Sometimes you need to hear the story. Sometimes you need to hear about the individuals that got into the fight. So you need to hear about how it was a culture shock, or you need to hear about how the lingo, the music that you listen to, so different. So for me, the purpose was I needed to put that information out there because it's easy for, let's say, for my athletes to look at me and say, well, you're a 2-time Olympian. It was easier for you. Mm-hmm. But I said, no, I had to take out loans when I went to college. I wasn't on a full scholarship. And they go, for real? Like, yeah, I had to work in the summer, for real. So for me, when I started putting the pen to the paper, I understand that there's someone. It might not be 1,000 people, it might not be 1 million. It could be 5. But every zero knows a hero and every dud knows a stud. And if I can share that message, who knows how it can, you know, vibrate out into the universe.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Khadevis, we're going to take a commercial break to tell everyone about 3 things. A super amazing health device called the Relax Sauna, how they can get a $100 discount at Happy Living, and how their purchase will support a great big donation to WYTV7.
Awesome.
Happy Living here. I love good things made by good people. That's why I love my Relax Sauna. I bask in its healing far infrared rays every morning. In just 20 minutes, I sweat as much as if I'd run 4 miles. But I'm not exhausted. Instead, I feel great. And I've boosted my metabolism, burned calories, sweated away toxins, and some body fat too. What a relaxing and healthy way to start a day. A study in Finland found people who regularly use saunas live longer and have fewer fatal heart problems. So get the benefits of a sauna in your home for your family too. It's surprisingly affordable, it's portable, and it fits nearly anywhere. Go to happyliving.com and select Partners in Happy to get $100 off any purchase of $1,000 or more. And I'll donate another $100 for every order placed during the entire month of December to WYTV7. So here's my idea for you. Get a Relax Sauna for yourself this holiday season and give another as a gift.
Welcome back, everybody. I'd like to give a quick shout out again to our December sponsors, Relax Saunas and Happy Living. Also to our viewers and listeners here at the 14 and 41 show at WYTV7. All right, man, we're going to get right back into it if you don't mind. So how have the lessons that you've learned as an athlete, like in particularly your Unity lessons, how have they helped you become better and a more successful person?
I think life is an analogy, just like a sport. You know, you only get out of it what you put into it. You know, in particular for the track and field, you know, the clock doesn't lie. So for me, the perseverance, the dedication, learning that, like in sports, if you fail, the event failed, but you're not a failure. See, some people see themselves as failure. They identify with the event. That helped me because in life, you're going to have, you know, you're going to have hurdles. You're going to have setbacks, learning that a setback is a setup for a comeback. Right. All those types of things are things that I carry over to my life. I always say that my goal was, once I stopped being a world-class athlete, my goal was to be a world-class father, a world-class husband, a world-class son, and a world-class human being. And that's what I'm trying to do, because it's bigger than just the sports. And all the best athletes believe that. You know, you start looking at the, you know, I don't know, Tom Brady's, you start looking at the LeBron James, start looking at Kobe Bryant's. I mean, they got the money, man. So they're not doing it for the money no more. They're doing it because they have something deep inside of them. And that's, to me, is what this is about. And it's the same thing with life. You know, it's like, as you're going through life, at some point, you have to drop the ego. You have to drop just doing it for show, for yourself, and say, when I'm gone from here, what am I leaving? What kind of legacy am I going to leave behind?
Right. Love that approach. Thank you for sharing, Matt.
Good stuff. So you mentioned earlier, Khadevis, about, you know, nearly coming to blows. And in your story, you wrote about at one point, the coaches had to step in and they set you and your teammate that you were struggling with, they set you down. And you wrote, quote, "The conversation that you have with your coaches had an impact on you. There was no taking sides, no pointing fingers, just man-to-man adult talk." So take us into that conversation. What was said, and how did you feel about it during and afterwards?
You know, that was one of the conversations that had a huge impact on my life to this day, even as a coach. And the reason is because, you know, I'm Black, other guy's white. I was fairly liberal. He was extremely conservative. We was totally different at the time. And the coach called us in, and I was a pretty good athlete and he was a walk-on. And the coach called us in, and it was like, okay, listen, you guys are teammates. So he's talking to us like we are young adult males and we're on the same team. And he essentially said, listen, I don't care what your religious beliefs are. I don't care if you're liberal or conservative, straight. I don't care about none of that. You guys are teammates, right? And you guys gonna have to figure out how to become teammates and work together as a group. He didn't say, you know, because you are a star athlete, this and that, or because you are this. None of that came. And it really resonated with me because I like the fact that he treated all of us like human beings, you know, and that's been something that I've carried with me throughout my coaching career. And I've seen this, a lot of people and other coaches have looked at me and said, and I see it, they're like, why are you so excited? Because that walk-on or that person who would never score points, they got a PR. Why are you so excited about that? And I'm like, because that's why I'm coaching. And I can tell they don't understand, but in the back of my mind, I want my best friend, the best man at my wedding, who I was about to, you know, the coaches treated him like that. And if it wasn't for that, this guy wouldn't have been on the team. He wouldn't have been the best man at my wedding. He probably wouldn't have came to the Olympic Games and watched me run. So now that I'm a coach, you best believe that I'm going to treat every athlete, no matter if they're a full scholarship athlete, no matter if they score 1,000 points or they score none, I'm going to treat them like they're just as important as the one who's going to. So that made a powerful impact on the way I approach my coaching, but it's also the way I approach life.
Yeah, isn't that how we should treat each other?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, this person's important, so I'm going to pay them more attention. No, what is important, right? That's funny.
Yeah, and it's hard because it's hard because I hate to cut you off, but it's hard because right now, especially as coaches in certain environments, we're judged by our performance. We're judged by the results. Mm-hmm. So I get it, but at some point we have to look back and say, hey, why are we really doing this, right? It's supposed to be a sport, right? We're supposed to help and mentor and coach. So let's do that also.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to recognize that message? Because you were a young athlete, and I know sometimes it's taken me a while to learn things. When did you realize that was such an impactful moment for you?
I think for me, I was already kind of wanting something like that. I don't know if that makes any sense. I've always been a little different. In other words, when I was a professional athlete, when we would go to Holland, I would go to the Vincent van Gogh Museum or the Anne Frank Museum. You know, I always did. So when I went there, even though it was so different and it was a culture shock, it was like I was curious. You know, I could tell a story. Y'all might have to beep this out. One time, me and the same guy was getting into an argument, and we was arguing, and there was people around, and I didn't want to fully cuss him out because I was like, okay, that wouldn't be right. So I called him a word that I didn't even know what the word was, but I heard him and some of his other friends saying, I call him a prick, and he had a fit. I mean, he had a fit, like I had called him the B word or something, and it shocked me because I'm like, I'm like, whoa, that word actually worked. Because to me, that word had no meaning to it, because where I'm from, we don't use that word. And so I guess what I'm saying is the whole experience was still curious. I was still like, it was something new to me, you know? And so I kind of embraced it a little bit. The next day I wasn't nice to him or anything like that, but I didn't fight it that much neither.
Good. So it's funny you mentioned your prick story. I had a prostitute story. When I was in the 7th grade, I had heard the word prostitute. I didn't know what it meant. And I called one of my friends a prostitute, and I got slapped right across the face. So, if you're listening to this, before you use words, understand what they mean.
Exactly.
All right, Khadevis, now it's prediction time. Which of your teammates from that TCU team or any other team that you've been involved in, which of your teammates will follow your lead and share their unity story with us?
Oh my goodness. I just had a teammate on my podcast named Roy Williams, and I think he would probably have a pretty good unity story because he's through competing with track, but he's competing with bodybuilding now. And I think he would be a good person to share a unity story.
Roy Williams, we're calling for you. All right, Khadevis, now it's time for a segment that we call Fun Time with 14.
All right.
All right, so this is how it works, Khadevis. It's simple. I'm going to fire off a few rapid fire questions. You got to give me the first thing that pops in your head. So we'll usually give them about 2, 3. If it's a harder question, maybe 5, 8 seconds. But really, we just want to know straight off the top of your head from our viewers' ears. So I always like to start out light. You said you only ran track, correct?
I play football also.
Oh, yeah, football. My bad. Yeah, that's right, because football is what got you in the track, or the girls. But, yeah. Okay, so if you did not run track, would you be playing football? Would you have pursued your collegiate and professional football career?
Yes.
Absolutely.
For a fact.
You ever think about going back and playing football?
Not now, not my age now, but when I was young, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Which one was harder for you? Running the 800-meter Olympic race or writing down your 700-word unity story?
The 800-meter race.
The 800-meter race?
Yeah.
What is the most embarrassing track story that you can share with us, whether it's via locker room, competition, practice, travel, anything?
Most embarrassing, well, just running in uniforms and then having my wife say something later when she see me in person on TV.
You gonna leave it there?
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. If you could live anywhere in the world right now, where would it be?
I done told you I'd be in Zimbabwe, man.
You be back? Oh, I got it, man. Actually, I've never been. I want to go though. Who was the most influential coach throughout your career in your life?
Oh man, that's extremely tough, ridiculously tough. I mean, Coach McKenzie maybe, because it's hard. Yeah. I've been blessed with some absolutely amazing, great mentor coaches in my life. I always say this: if I can be an influence in my athletes' lives that the coaches have been in my life, I've succeeded.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna run out about one or two more questions. What was the hardest race that you've ever ran?
I first ran the 800 in middle school. It was the hardest race. I still remember that race, and I remember that the end part, the last part of the race at the end, I was running, and I remember one of my teammates was saying, "Go, run faster!" And I remember screaming from the track, like, "I'm running as fast as I can," you know. And I thought at the time I would never run the 800 again. I'm like, I'm never running this race again. And lo and behold,
it's a brutal race.
It's brutal. Yeah,
it's brutal.
I used to, in high school, I ran 300 hurdles, right? And my coach used to make me train for an 800 for my 300 hurdle race, which, you know, you kind of do double the training of your actual event. And I was like, oh my God, if this wasn't a short race and I didn't enjoy running hurdles, oh, bro, I would have dropped that real quick. Real quick.
Rough.
Yeah. The last question I'm going to ask is, you have, please correct me if I say this wrong, Khadivisms? How do you say it?
Yep, Kadivism. Yep.
Kadivism. Okay. I want to know, what is your favorite?
My favorite Kadivism?
Yes, sir.
My favorite Kadivism is major things happen in minor moments. But the truth is, there are no minor moments. Major things happen when we make them happen.
Hey, I'm gonna have to start quoting you on that one. I like
that. That just means that most of us think major things happen like at a wedding or graduation. So we wait all week for the weekend. We wait all month for an event. We wait all year to take a vacation, you know, for the big events and stuff. So we're thinking that's when major things happen, when we get proposed, when we get married, at a funeral, whatever that is. But the truth of the matter is, you know, major things happen in minor moments, which the everyday moment is when something can happen, right?
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, it's really those moments you take advantage of and those moments you make happen. Because anytime you have a goal and you make something happen, you can, as a guy, you can propose whenever you want to propose, right? As a person, you can go out and go after your dreams and goals anytime you want to. And what gets me is that most people, unfortunately, they think they have to wait. They think they have to get someone's approval. They think that, you know, I think, and I don't mean to get too spiritual on you guys, I think sometimes we be sitting at home and we hear a voice that's telling us we're supposed to start our own business. We're supposed to go do this, travel there, do whatever. And we ignore that voice. And I think if you take 1,000 years back, when people heard that voice, they attributed it to God. So when that voice told them to go and start this or do that, they say, God told me to do it. And they went and did it. But now we sit here and we know we have more in us. We know we have more in us. Humans is the only species on the face of the earth that have more and just won't do it. You know, if a bear can get this big, it gets this big. If a cheetah can run super fast, it runs super fast. But a human can get an A+ and be at a B- and say, I'm good. So to me, that's the thing about major things happening in minor moments. It's like once we recognize that right now, I can make something major happen. Right now, my life can change right now. Then I think we see the world totally different. But a lot of people don't get the memo. So it's my job to give that memo out, to let people know, if you have a goal, you know, seriously, go. It's better for you to go out and try that goal and fail than not to. Yeah. You know, we act as if we have 9 lives. Like after this one's over, we got another life to try. This is it. If you want to start a business, I mean, if you believe in heaven, great. But I'm saying, this is the life you got to do it in. You know what I'm saying? If you want to do certain things, this is it. And once the time is ticking, it's gone. So I'm really passionate about that Kadivism.
Hey, I see, man. And you know what? I was gonna close it out with, do you have any, you know, parting remarks you want to share for the listeners? But I
got a parting remark.
All right, man. Keep taking us to church then, because I'm loving it.
Here's my parting remark. There's 2 major moments in a person's life. The moment you was born and the moment you realize why you was born.
Good purpose. Amen.
That's
100%.
Amen. Hey, Khadevis, thank you so much for sharing that and having a little fun with me on Fun Time with 14. Matt, I'm gonna let you go ahead and close it out. He's got me hyped. I'm about to kill this work.
All right. So over the next 2 weeks, Khadevis will be responding to comments, questions, and remarks from listeners to this show and readers of his Unity story. At the end of those 2 weeks, he'll pick the person he feels was most impacted, and he or she will win a free rafru t-shirt or hoodie.
Awesome.
And now it's your turn. If you're hearing my voice and you were inspired by this show, then please donate what you can to WYTV7. It's a wonderful 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good works with your kindness. Thank you, Khadevis and Alexis, too. This was another inspiring story and another awesome show. Khadevis, thank you for adding your powerful voice to our growing chorus of retired athletes. Your unity story teaches us that even your worst enemy can become your best friend if you adjust and adapt to new environments, respect cultural differences, and get to know each other. Or as you say, you just have to realize that iron sharpens iron.
Right.
Unity fans out there, we've got another inspiring story for you. Thank you, WYTV7, for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep sharing stories from retired athletes like Khadevis, all working together to improve the unity of the world. A special thank you to our sponsors for the entire month of December, Relax Saunas and Happy Living. Remember, the more you buy, the more I'll donate. So buy one for yourself this holiday season and give another as a gift. And most especially, thank you to our viewers and listeners. Go to rafru.com to read Khadevis's story. You'll also find links to websites and social media and all things Khadevis Robinson. Find him, friend him, engage with him, and get that free t-shirt while you're at it. So from Alexis and Khadevis and me, we love you and we want you to be united, not divided. We do what we do at Retired Athletes for radical unity to inspire you to join our movement to improve the unity of the world, one heart at a time. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome. And this is the 14 and 41 Unity Show. And we're out.
Black or white, male or female, rich or poor, gay or straight. What's the difference? Number 14 and number 41 are on a mission to improve the unity of the world, one person at a time. The 14 and 41 Unity Show.